Association and Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, the Uganda Manufacturers Association, the Governor of the Bank of Uganda, the Uganda Revenue Authority, insurance players, and members of Parliament. The dialogue called by the Committee of Parliament on the National Economy stems from a petition by Kizito about the high interest rates that have been imposed by commercial banks even on running loans or old loans. The petition was followed by an ultimatum by the traders that the central bank prevails over the commercial banks to lower the interest rates, or else the traders close down their shops and also withdraw all their deposits from the banks. The traders have been joined by other aggrieved parties, including teachers and manufacturers, who believe that the current situation is untenable. Presentations from several stakeholders were made at the dialogue to put the matter into perspective before a decision is taken. Bank of Uganda has recently argued that the increase in interest rates, which was prompted by the raise in the central bank rates, is healthy and will prompt a fall in inflation and a stronger shilling. As we continue to try and seek solutions to the economic challenges Uganda is facing today, we will follow up on this dialogue to try and understand what solutions this meeting has prescribed on the standoff on interest rates. Our guests tonight, Mr. Issa Sekitto, spokesman of the Kizito, that's the Kampala City Traders Association. You're most welcome, Mr. Sekitto.
Thank you very much, Edmond, and good evening, listeners.
Listeners and viewers, because we're also on the internet, you can watch a video of YouTube video of Spectrum of YouTube. We also expect to be joined by someone from the teaching profession, Mr. William Musazi, Vice Chairperson, Central Division of UNATU, that's the Uganda National Association for Teachers, Uganda National Teachers Union. I'll announce him when he comes in. Mr. Sekitto, can you give us an update? How did your dialogue go?
Listeners, it has been a hectic day. The one that it has been for the last 1 week or so for the Kizito executive members. Personally, I feel so tired, and if it wasn't inevitable, if it was inevitable, maybe I would have delegated. I attended this from morning. I was there while it was being the dialogue was opening by the chairman of the National Committee for the Economy, and thereafter I saw it all. The kind of the revelations that we have had, the nature of defensive approach from the Uganda Bankers Association, the nature of the revelations from the honorable MPs, the arrogance of the Governor Bank of Uganda are things that can't go without mentioning. The courtesy and cries from the teachers almost made everybody shed tears. The manufacturers and the cause for investment and reinvestment. The farmers, you mentioned it all, attended this meeting. It started with the presentation of the Kizito grievances, of course by the chairman, Mr. Everest Kayundo, who narrated the chronology of events. How many people we have met so far, the Minister of Trade and Commerce, Trade and the Cooperatives, I think that's the right one, Trade Industry and Cooperatives,
yes.
The President's advisors of every kind, the Minister of Finance. You talk about everybody that we thought a solution would be gotten. Unfortunately, in the effort for the chairman to justify the problems we undergo, he had to change the impression that was seemingly being created by some people that we are fighting interest rate per se. He clarified that the issue in question is the interest rate increased, especially on already existing or running loans. We are cognizant of the fact that one of the tools that the Governor and Bank of Uganda can use internationally include the interest rate, but it is not isolated. The chairman went ahead to give an overview of other monetary and fiscal policy tools that the governor can employ to bring down inflation. He also brought out the issue of looking at the tool of using interest rate in bringing down inflation, but also as a discouragement to investment, since while you are discouraging people from borrowing, not every money that is borrowed is for luxury. Some money is borrowed to be invested in schools. Talk about factories, talk about businesses in Chukubo. He talked about the problem of rental fees in the business premises. Most of the property that we see around Kampala, they are the kurato themselves. And therefore, while they face the risk of losing the property at the buildings and arcades, the landlords are desperately running to the tenant and hiking the rental fees as though that's the solution. There was a connection between the interest rate increments and the rental increments. They are inseparable, because when you are talking about a tenant in a building, a commercial building, has the double tragedy. The banks are increasing the interest rate on the landlord. On the tenant, because even the business was boosted by a commercial loan. Yes. The interest rate has been increased, yes, and now the landlord. So a poor man is facing double tragedy. All these issues were brought out, but also what was brought out was to remind the governor that other issues like the cash reserve ratio needed to be applied, open market operations, fiscal policies like what recently the government did when the prices of sugar was almost shooting to 10,000. Yes. They introduced what we call import quotas, yes, with an intention of turning the prices of sugar. To date, it is almost 3,500, and it is lowering further because of the intervention. So it does not only take interest rate. Some people also brought out issues that maybe there is some hidden interest by the governor. Why think only about this tool while there is a variety of other tools? All walks of life, everybody was coming out to say this is possibly workable, this and that. Examples of how this problem has been handled in Kenya were brought. We are still verifying whether it is true that the government of Kenya and the Bank of Kenya also increased the interest rate, but maybe they also had other tools. They had the tools, but you know, it is also alleged that they did not increase the interest rate on existing facilities, right, because of the repercussions that might be worse than the intended objective of bringing down inflation. We also had issues of what I call, we can say, government excessive expenditure. Yes. People brought out the issue of giving one individual 16 billion, and the money came from Bank of Uganda. 16 or 160 billion to an individual. They talked about the planes. They talked about dishing out of money during the political times from Bank of Uganda. Yes. Some people also highlighted the issues of pricing. There's money given out from the Bank of Uganda. We don't know about that. Yes, that is why the governor said that he had some MPs who came out to say one of the clots or the stagnation is in fact emerging from some of the money that was given politicians hidden without bank regulation, and they are using it indifferently. Right. The governor came out to say a very nasty word, and you would really wonder if this is the senior professor. Said that these honorable MPs are rubbish. Or you call MPs rubbish? Yeah, I said what they are saying is rubbish. That's the governor of the central bank. Yes, and Mr. Tumsino, yes, he said MPs are rubbish. Yes, and when the chairman ruled him out of order that in parliament they use diplomatic language. He said maybe the language of the gutter. Yes, maybe they are stupid, for lack of a better word. I almost walked out. If I were an MP, did he really say that? I'll tell you. Did he actually say that? He said that. It's on record. MPs are rubbish. I will tell you that if he had talked this, that Kizito people are rubbish, all that we are stupid, you will not stay. The name of God, I would not stay there. I saw honorable MPs laboring to explain to him how much language he would use, but considering the nature of approach, and we are drinking all the water in the at times you see him sleeping. At times he made about 15 or 20 times. Sorry, I made interest. No, sorry. So you wonder whether he's about to retire or is about to begin, or whether this is what we need for the mantle of the issue now.
The central bank governor.
For the central bank governor.
Yes.
It was so unfortunate. I really learned a lot that MPs are so courageous to sit in the room where they invited the governor and is insulting them, calling them seriously, calling them all sorts of names. However, that did not divert us from the set strategy or intention of the meeting. Everybody deliberated. The manufacturers are up in arms, are supporting Kizito. The farmers, the teachers, the private sector foundation, the National Chamber of Commerce and Industry were all expressing concerns. The bank association, the UBA, the chairman presented, this is the managing director of Standard Chartered Bank,
Lamin Manjan.
He presented, in his view, he did not invite us to the banks. We went there
On your own, voluntarily.
on our own. Secondly, we signed contracts where we knew that there is a retrospective application of the changes.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we had a chance to reveal to him a current, a recent ruling in the UK, where commercial banks used to charge money to almost a similar circumstance, where people used to have insurance without option. Loans which were given, and there was an alternative option given for others who did not want the insurance coverage. A recent ruling is to the effect that the banks have been forced to pay back £4.5 billion to the accounts of the owners, whether they like it or not. Whether you are interested in the money or not, the court, there is a first precedent. All this we told them, please, not every contract is actually ethical. Some contracts are voidable. Some contracts are voidable, and then you can cancel it. Yes. Yeah. So it is unfortunate that a business approach has been lost by the commercial banks. They had some issues which would be debatable, but whatever the debate, we in Kizito and the rest of the people that are supporting that we do not charge the new rate on interest to existing loans, had the view that somebody was deceiving openly, that in 2009 when the interest rates came down, they were forced to lower. I am telling you, they lowered only on new loans that were being acquired, not the old ones.
Right.
There is no bank in the recent past where some customers have been called and told that please, because the interest rates have been lowered, can you come and reschedule this loan downwards, right, such that you pay less? Never. So it's opportunity. Complete that one, then from there proceed with the new lower rates, starting with the new interest rates. This is what we are agitating for.
Okay.
It's unfortunate, Mr. Edmond, that by the time I left, the Prime Minister made a statement. Yes. Which statement was so appealing. I mean, was so sorry. And we felt so sorry. This is a person who knows that we went out after disagreeing with the commercial banks. Yeah. We went out after applying even the law and whatever it takes to no solution. And here he was saying, we shall ask the banks to look into the past loans or old loans with the view of finding irregularities and sort them. In the meantime, he does not refer to whether by doing that they have suspended the application of the new interest rates on the old loans. Right. This is the point at which I moved out. All right. Because all the liberation is finished, the Prime Minister had to deliver a message from government as the head of government business. Yes. For Uganda. Yes. So if he said that, we are appealing to the bankers and with no formidable position that is insertive, I felt I would offend people if I said anything beyond that. Maybe so I moved out. Now that I was coming here,
yes,
as I left, ladies and gentlemen, the listeners of Spectrum, there was no headway.
No headway. Listeners, this is Spectrum on radio, and tonight, what is the outcome of a stakeholders' dialogue on the standoff between the banks and city traders and other Ugandans aggrieved by the high interest rates? Our guest tonight, you just heard from Mr. Issa Sekitto, spokesman of the Kampala City Traders Association, or Kizito. Our second guest has just come in, Mr. William Musazi, vice chairperson, Central Division of UNATU. UNATU is the Uganda National Teachers Union. You're most welcome, Mr. Musazi.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Talk to us about what happened. You are in Parliament today. It's a big meeting that you had, a historic meeting, I must say. Ministry of Finance, Bankers Association, Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, Manufacturing Association, Bank of Uganda, Revenue Authority, insurance players, members of Parliament. So everybody have been saying there's no crisis. There is a crisis. That's why you have such big officers meeting together. How did it go for you?
Well, I should first of all thank my colleague, Issa Sekitto, for eloquently presenting some of the issues that have been addressed there. Well, some of the issues that have been touched there but not yet addressed. And for the record, I should say, government seems to appreciate the fact that there is a crisis, but it is stopping. It has stopped short of coming up with a solution. And we believe the solution lies with them. For example, they are calling upon, the latest, Bwana Sekitto, is that they have scheduled a meeting tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. and the Prime Minister is they are going through his office, they are going to inform us the venue. But before that, the issue was, you see, let's continue dialoguing and, we shall come up with a position, and we know you can't fail. But remember, people's businesses are running down. They are closing.
Fortunes.
Exactly. Not only that, but for us as Amwesale,
teachers with a fixed salary.
Yeah, exactly. You can't.
I
can't go into the nitty-gritty of what is happening to many of us, really. And for us, we are unfortunate. Whereas Bwana Sekitto may have a way of trying to adjust. But for me, it is what they are going to pay me that they will take all. So I have no eye. Will I say choke? What will I do, really? I have to appeal the same body that has imposed onto us the unfriendly conditions, and that is just unfortunate.
And the teachers are asking for a pay rise?
Yes, all along we've been asking for the pay rise.
Let's look at the figures. Right now, teachers get around 260,000 shillings a month.
We get 260,000, but remember the deductions of different kinds, and therefore we remain with about 240. My colleague today...
And you take your children to school.
Exactly. We get the same markets like the MPs and other business members, and it's quite really unfortunate.
And there's no big market for chalk, which is
no. There isn't either.
I've looked at some of the figures. If they increase teachers' salaries by 100% to 500,000, the government will spend about $50 million every month on teachers' salaries alone, which is not a huge amount if the government was able to slash down on spending in some places. Listeners, this is Spectrum on radio, and tonight, what is the outcome of a stakeholders dialogue on the standoff between the banks, city traders and other Ugandans aggrieved by the high interest rates? Our guests are from Kizito, Mr. Issa Sekitto and William Musazi from UNATU. Tomorrow we will be hosting Bank of Uganda and commercial banks to give us their side of the story. In the meantime, Mr. Sekitto, talk to us about some of these alternatives that you mentioned. You mentioned the cash reserve ratio, as opposed to the CDR.
Yes, the cash reserve ratio refers to where the central bank raises the bank rate. It is called the dear money policy. What the bank do, they will not release as much money as possible.
They will allow banks to keep more money. Banks normally have a ratio, a minimum they must have.
Yes.
But now they would reduce that ratio, so banks have more money to lend.
Yes. The other issue is the cash reserve ratio. I mean, the cash reserve ratio,
we'll talk about.
No. This is where government reduces the capacity. The Bank of Uganda reduces the lending capacity to commercial banks. Other than lending the money the way it is doing, they will increase the rate. I mean, they intend to keep as much as possible the cash reserve ratio.
Yes.
If the lot of money is there,
they could reduce the cash ratio so there's more money available to banks to lend.
So now they make it high such that the banks don't have it.
Right. So they have to borrow from the bank at 28%, right?
The other one is the open market operations.
Yes.
Here, the Bank of Uganda will be the one that
will sell forex to some people.
Also securities. You know, other than selling securities bought by the commercial banks, it will now be the central bank to buy the securities.
You talk about repos?
Yes, such that they keep the money on them. The underlying objective is to reduce the credit creation capacity to the commercial banks.
Go on.
At the end of the day, these commercial banks will not have enough money to lend it to us, the intending business borrowers. Other measures include the fiscal policy. You know, government can use the policy of taxation.
Yes.
It has just been applied of recent when the prices of sugar shot high.
Yes.
What the governor or the banker can do is to say now you don't need to take out maize, you don't need to take out rice or these cereals, such that we have abundant
place an embargo.
Yes, we have food in abundance to bring down prices can come down. Alternatively, the imports, we relax some of the taxes on the imports, such that we reduce the import duties. Then the commodities that are imported are brought in at low import duties. For example, what we did for sugar, you know, sugar normally we import it at 100% import duty.
Yes.
So the whole 100% import duty was taken out, and then under import quotas we were allowed to import sugar. As a reaction, the market responded.
Right.
By
prices came down.
Prices came down.
All right.
There are many other ways, and all these are available.
Right.
We are made to be skeptical. At why even today the governors maintain the statement that the only tool he has of now
is fiscal,
is what you
policy.
Call the banker rate policy.
All right, let's go for a
despite everybody's argument that it is a discouragement to investment, he insisted on it. And what I tell you, Mr. Edmond, you know what he said?
No.
He said that you people, why are you worried? The interest rate.
Okay, we are going for a break. This is Spectrum Radio, and we'll be back to continue this discussion. Do stay tuned.
John, Mike, and I, we go back a bit. We knew John at the beginning, working for someone else. But he was different. He had vision, saw opportunities. He started working towards his goal, opened his own garage, and worked, learning the hard way. His reputation spread. Trust, consistency, quality. Soon people were coming to him from all parts. He made himself and his whole street prosper, and also help friends see potential in people and helping them on. But John never shouts about all his success. He's just who he is. Special.
So here's to men like John, who make a difference, who enjoy Nile Special, the rich, satisfying taste from the source. Nile Special.
You've earned it.
Not for sale to persons under 18.
Fellow Ugandans, the United Nations has declared that access to the internet is a universal human right, along with access to water and food. Like the UN, we believe that every Ugandan should enjoy this right. We believe that access to information, education, and improved communication through the internet will build this great nation. And it is because of what we so strongly believe that we are giving every single MTN customer 10 megabytes of free data on their mobiles. And everyone can start experiencing it now.
Follow us on facebook.com/MTNUG or twitter.com/MTNUgandaCare. This announcement was brought to you by MTN.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90 is brought to you by Stanbic Bank.
Welcome back. Tonight on Spectrum, what is the outcome of a stakeholders dialogue on the standoff between the banks, city traders and other Ugandans aggrieved by the high interest rates? Dialogue took place today. We are attended by Kizito, the Uganda Bankers Association, the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Trade, the Uganda Manufacturers Association, the Governor of Bank of Uganda, the Uganda Revenue Authority, insurance players, and members of Parliament. I don't remember the last time I had this kind of high-powered dialogue on the economy. It happened in Parliament. So tonight we're hosting Mr. Issa Sekitto, spokesman of Kizito, that's the Kampala City Traders Association, and Mr. William Musazi, vice chairperson, Central Division of UNATU. UNATU is the Uganda National Teachers Union. You'll be able to call in later and contribute to discussion, or send us your messages through Facebook, that's Spectrum Debate, or via text, Spectrum message, question or comment, send it to 7197. Mr. Musazi, how do these interest rates affect you when they raise them? You get your salary at the end of the month. How do these rates affect you? You don't go to banks, do you?
Well, today I learned that they consoled us in a statement that, you know, banks are not going to increase the deductions, but they are going to increase the time of payment. You know, it's all
they'll soften it a little bit.
Exactly. It's like if I'm to pay for 2 years, then I'll have to pay for 2.5 years or 4 years. Can you imagine?
They sugarcoat the bit up here.
Exactly. But then the effect on me as a teacher is that, one, it's going to greatly reduce my purchasing power, and two, it will reduce my concentration in the work I do, because all the time I'm worried about probably the TV I put in the bank or something like that, or the motorcycle or anything that I own. In addition to that, I'll be thinking about how to make up for the gap, you know. So in the end, it's the education system that's going to be affected.
Yes.
And I'm surprised that whereas these people call us to get loans or pick loans from their banks, when it comes to these other unfriendly conditions of theirs, they braggantly claim, since we are the ones who went for them.
Yes.
You know,
they said you don't.
They say they found us here.
Exactly.
We don't come to you in your school.
But you know,
don't come to find you where you are.
yeah, but who are banks for anyway? Are they there simply to stop money?
No, they can do without you.
That's what they are saying anyway.
But there is one very important thing that came up as a question. The Kizito group and everybody justified the grievances in form of figures. From the examples that the chairman cited, the increment was computed at 86.3% in one circumstance, and the other one at 82%.
What is increment? I don't understand these figures.
The implication of this interest rate.
Yes.
On, you know, when you are paying a loan, there are 3 columns.
Yes.
There is a column for principal.
Yes.
There is a column for interest.
Yes.
And column for the total output.
Principal plus interest.
Yes. Now, a person who was paying 100 million, for example,
yes,
you would find that if he was
by the time he concludes, it should be
something which would have been 100 could be 140.
Yes.
Now, on the side of principal,
yes,
which must be reduced if you are to
declining balances.
Yes, declining balance. That one reduces.
Yes.
If per month you are returning like a 20 million,
yes,
going by the new interest rate, it could come to 12.
Yes.
Therefore, the time
is longer.
Yes. Now, the chairman was asking, can the Bankers Association justify the losses of applying the old rate for old loans?
Okay, maybe.
And no computation was made.
Right.
Which means all the banks would survive and maybe reduce small profits, the level of profits as should be declared.
Yes.
The businesses cannot survive.
Right.
So what do we do?
Who takes the burden?
Who takes the burden?
Let's go to the practicals. Some of the actions that you've threatened. You say you want to close your shops. We would like you to talk to us about that. You say you wanted to withdraw your money from the bank.
Yeah.
Go and take it to other places.
As we were there, the mobilization was going on across the country. As I'm telling you, people in Mbarara, people in Mbale, people in Mitiana, people in Ruwero, everywhere the flyers have reached.
What do the
and the message say 2 issues only. We had issues of electricity. We said for fear of failure to contain the situation, we can't refer this matter of payment because it is a bigger one, even worse case scenario than the issue.
Let's talk about that. It's too big. Let's talk about it.
We took out flyers and saying 2 messages. One, we are moving to the banks. Do we call it
raiding the bank?
Yes. The people resolved in the meeting that sat on Friday that come 10th, tomorrow is the last day of negotiations.
Yes.
If by tomorrow working hour ends and there is no solution, on Wednesday at morning, everybody is encouraged to go to the banks and remove the money. We are saying we do not even necessarily need to do it 100%. If you have 50 million, you can take out 30 or whichever amount. Because you know banks have three major sources of money: the external borrowing, the deposits from central bank, and then our own deposits. So the liquidity ratio is one of the lifelines of the banks. True. So if we can damage the liquidity ratio,
some of them might be in trouble.
Some of them might be in trouble. We do not want to cause trouble, but we are remaining with an option. So it would be betrayal, as resolved in the meeting, that anyone who goes to the bank to deposit will have betrayed the cause for which we all stand.
So no deposits.
No deposits, only drawings, and don't ask us where you're taking the money. I will personally go. I have accounts in about 6 banks. I will move to all of them and because we have 3 days of doing this. I want to go on the 11th. I want to go on 12th and 13th. By 14th, if no impactful resolution is coming out, then we reconverge at our meeting point to discuss a way forward. The closure of the businesses, of course. They said this is synonymous. It is synonymous. These are going together. As we move to the banks
to get your money,
to get our money, we have also closed our businesses.
You're closing the business on Wednesday?
We are closing the businesses on Wednesday morning.
Why do you do so many things at the same time? You want to destroy this economy.
We don't want to destroy the economy, but this is the nature of language. If you saw the arrogance and indifference that was expressed, save the Minister of Trade and Industry and Commerce, Madam Chambard, she made a statement, and according to her, she was of the view that the new interest rates be rested in respect of the new, in respect of the old loans. The rest of the government officials, my dear, we are all, I looked at the Prime Minister, so luxurious.
Maybe he hadn't read the documents. How about the Revenue Authority?
The Revenue Authority was there, and the issues that were asked were not so much to do with the interest rate. People had issues with the parking yards. People had issues with the working hours. The issues that came out as a means of, as a matter of URA, were so petty. If we are to bring out grievances as regards URA, I will tell you 2 issues. People have been complaining time and again about banks. One, we are forced to pay banker charges even on accounts that do not belong to us. For example, you pay for umeme, you pay for water, you pay for everything, school fees, and you are forced to pay 2,500 for who now? This is not my account. There are monthly charges that you get from that account, and you are now telling me that paying out of that account, I should pay you 2,500. We said, okay, maybe this is business. The other issue is, there were what we call processing fees for the loan. Do you know that this is an expression of percentage? A person taking 100 million pays 2 million.
Really?
A person taking 1 billion pays 20 million. But the same set of documents is what it carries to process a loan. Now, what pickup am I using to carry the papers for 1 billion that requires that I pay 20 million to get my loan processed? This is documentation. So these are practices. We have a range of practices that we gave to the governor, and we are so frightened when he said he will not be concerned and is not going to intervene as a regulator. Now, if you say we are taking too much
supervising banks is with the same. In other places, in the UK, it is the Financial Services Authority, which is separate from the central bank.
In fact, this is one of the most important resolutions that we seem to have taken. It's almost being taken that this consumer protection element be gotten out
from the
Bank of Uganda, and a separate consumer organization in respect of financial services be set up.
Well, they do it in the UK, the FSA.
This is very good.
Supervises banks, not the central bank. Talk to us, Mr. Musazi, about some of the solutions. Why do you want the government to get this money to pay you?
Well, before we talk about paying me, really, there is an impending problem at the table right now.
Go on.
You know, the traders are up in arms and they are closing business. What are the implications of such an act on the economy? What are the effects of the act on the final consumer? everyone is going to suffer. It's not about Kizito. Kizito is only blowing a whistle and telling you guys, look, there's a problem here.
You want to damage the economy. No taxes there, eh?
Yes.
No banking in the banks.
Yes.
And you're drawing the money. You want to damage the economy in 2 days. Why
Don't you think it is better than what happened in Tunisia?
This is Spokesman. Let's hear from you, listeners. This is becoming a little bit heavy. Let's hear from you, dear listeners. Our number 0414-348-111, 031-226-0390, 031-226-1390. As you speak to us, speak to build. This is your country. Speak with a positive attitude. When you call in, please tell us your name and where you're calling from. Spectrum, hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, sir, your name?
Yes. Thank you for hosting those two guests. Actually, my brother Issa Sekitto, who has been a struggle with that victory. Very small. Are you, Mr. Issa Sekitto, are you not willing to take the contact to the bank? Because as the governor, Mr. Professor Tumusime, you are dealing with the professional thing. You want just to be fair. And another issue, you mentioned do you say that your goal or your mission is about Wasaja Balaba? Because Wasaja Balaba's case, it doesn't even in your business. So to you as AM, I just want to advise you, when you take a loan from the bank, it's up to you to fill out the agreement, but not going back on the streets, closing that shop. I think it won't help. Even if you go in the other world, people take loan, but what they have to do, if they don't pay their loan, they take their things. That's the only solution. Thank you.
Okay.
Spectrum, hello?
Hello.
Hello, yes, your name?
Yes, to me, Matt.
Yes.
We all know that the government has been facing a number of corruption series that have drained a little bit of our national coffers. Now we all know that the Bank of Uganda, one of its key principles and rules is to find a way of refilling its coffers with money. I want to blame the governor, but this is the wrong technique it may be using to refill the coffers. You as Kizito, don't you think that maybe by the governor hiking interest rates of banks, he is trying to find a way of collecting money and refilling our national coffers that corruption has drained, such that he tries and stabilizes the economy. But I think that is a wrong technique. Maybe Kizito can highlight more on that.
Okay.
Hello? Yes, your name?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, this is Mr. Johnny from Setamukono.
Come on.
Thank you for having hosted the visitors in the studio. The reality is in Uganda we are facing a kind of inflation which is hitting us, and by all means the government has to strive to see that the inflation is stopped. So what my advice is, traders and all other people who are arguing about this issue should see that they sit on a round table with the government and then solve that problem. Then another issue of withdrawing the money, as Mr. Sekitto has said, has he thought about going to the bank and then they tell him about the network being inappropriate to allow the traders to withdraw all the money from the bank?
This is
Hello? Hello? Okay. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, please tell us your name.
This is Rukwado Abdul.
Come on.
This is Abdul Rukwado.
Come on, mister?
This is Abdul Rukwado.
Okay, but can you switch off your audio or walk away from it?
Alright. Thank you for hosting Mr. Kizito and the other gentleman in the studio. Now, my query is, I've gone to the bank several times, moving with currencies, moreover Ugandan currencies, but in coins, but you are told to pay some amount in order for it to be accepted to be deposited on your account. Is it fair actually? That is that I wanted Mr. Kizito also to enlighten me on that, because I'm not so aware about the services of the bank and what have you.
So we expect to host Bank of Uganda tomorrow with the commercial bank representatives. Maybe they'll talk about that. Mr. Sekitto will talk about it as well. Spectrum, hello. Hello. Yes.
Because they have fight against the cheating of the oil banks all over the country. But what I'm advising the and not only banks who are cheating customers, but even microfinances, they are doing a pivotal role to sell their clients. So I want from banks, let's take their tap load to the microfinances respectively. I think it will be able to move. They're going to do this effectively.
Spectrum, hello. Hello. Okay. Your name?
Hello?
Yes, your name?
George.
Yes, George.
I'm one of those. I want to add my voice to Kizito. I would also really want to support their action. Why am I supporting their action? One, our banks, most foreign banks we have in this country are foreign banks. When I heard of the reaction of their chairperson today, Bank Association, I saw a lot of pride in it. I would really want to advise the traders to go ahead. We must advocate for our rights. There is a lot of corruption. These banks are making billions. Every year they are declaring billions of profit. Last year alone, there was a bank that declared 50 billion as profit. Our bank governor is silent about that. He says he can't regulate anything. Why are we taking Ugandans for granted? I think in the future, I would advise the traders or Ugandans that we develop our own local banks where we should make our deposits. Therefore, I want to recommend and support the traders such that the Governor Bank of Uganda, who seems to be adamant on when Ugandans are being exploited, maybe will wake up. I thank you very much.
Our final caller for tonight. Okay, let's get back straight to the studio. Mr. Sekitto.
Yeah. In my life, I do not want to pursue personal discussions amidst public interest goods. Somebody thinking that we are up in arms with the Basajja Balaba are misplaced. What brings him in the limelight is that a lot of money was given out of the Bank of Uganda, and in a desperate move to have the governor control the inflation. By the way, two issues came up in the discussion. The strangeness of the inflation we have today is a new term. Has a new term.
Yes.
It's a combination of inflation and stagnation.
Stagflation.
That is stagflation. So when you are considering it, you must be cognizant of the fact that maybe some money is adulterated out of the regulations and it is hidden in some houses, and therefore the productive sector does not access it, much as the Bank of Uganda cannot regulate and control it. So this is how question is of who took what.
You talk about billions under the belt.
Yes, that's why this name comes in. Otherwise, I would be mindful about them.
Okay.
The other issue is maybe a lot of money has corruptly been taken away. Who pays for this? Why would I be the one to compensate such that the corruption tendencies is covered and then my account is depleted for the sake of catering for corruption tendencies? No, not on my account. So at least the business community were only the whistleblowers. This is a bigger problem than somebody thinking that the traders have their hidden motives, the traders have this and that. This thing affects the indigenous Ugandans who have no result more than they are affecting the traders. If everything persists, we have tried it. We increase the prices of commodities, the purchasing power of people is becoming lower and lower, and therefore we cannot suffice anymore. That's why we are saying enough is enough. Can we stop? Can we say this is a stop-loss point? We start to sit down and see is the prescription made by the Governor Bank of Uganda enough to intervene, or something else needs to be considered? Somebody was thinking that maybe when you go to your bank, your money, the network will be down. Fine, if it is down, we shall be there and wait for it to return. So if it doesn't return, it's no good situation for the banker. They need to give me my money.
You sit there.
I should be there to pick my money, and that shows you the nature of and the grave of problem.
But the governor might stop the banks from releasing money. He might put a ceiling. He might say no more than 30
If he says so, fortunately it is my account, and banks have not been declared insolvent. The money is there. How is it possible that they will be told not to give me my money? It is my deposit.
You could go to court.
Exactly. It's all right. That's also an option. Somebody talked about paying money because you have taken coins. My brother, when you look at the percentage, it is keeping my head. But if you look at the percentage the commercial banks take, if you take to banker coins, you will be surprised. Do I say it is even above 20% of the value?
Because it takes time to count them.
So really, they should improvise. Did I print this money? I didn't. I am not part of the problem. I got this money, count it, and put it on my account. Why do you charge exorbitantly? I am forgetting the percentage, but from the details that we have, it is a very huge percentage that is inhuman. Fellow Ugandans, I think there is much more that we can talk about in the financial services, and especially the commercial banks, more than even what Kizito can do, because our capacities are limited.
Right.
You now have to balance research and looking for money from my shop.
Yes.
So if I can find out some of these issues, how about the planners of this economy
Who are full-time
jobs? Can they look for more solutions and advise the seemingly aged governor of Bank of Uganda? Even by the way he reacts, by the way he responds to issues, indeed it seems he's tired.
Okay.
It seems the accounting authority needs to find a substitute really.
Let's hear from the teachers.
My appeal to all stakeholders, particularly Bank of Uganda, is to prevail upon the commercial banks to stay the interest on the old loans.
Yes.
And that's the consensus by all the parties that were there.
Yes.
And the negotiations can begin from there. And I wish to point out that it is easier to do that as compared to the cost they are going to incur while trying to put out the fire, the banks, the what. It's going to affect everybody and all sectors of the economy.
We have to go. Thank you very much, dear guests. Mr. Issa Sekitto, spokesman of Kizito, that's the Kampala City Traders Association. Thank you very much indeed for coming to Spectrum. You had a long day. You managed to make it. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Mr. William Musazi, Vice Chairman, Central Division of UNATO. UNATO is the Uganda National Teachers Union. Thank you for coming to Spectrum, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond. The Spectrum will return tomorrow. Up next, though, is the news in English. Do stay tuned. Radio 1.
Mama Joshua, I'm home. What is Joshua doing here?
Munange, Joshua has been chased for school fees and we have no money. I'm stranded.
With the DFCU Achievers account, your child will stay